What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you to everyone who checked out my previous video. It kind of blew up with the Raptors commentary on that one. And today I'm talking about a different team that was in a similar situation to what we thought the Raptors were going to be when Kawhi Leonard left. We all thought the Raptors were going to fall off the face of the planet. They lose Kawhi Leonard. They lose Kyle Lowry within a year after that. They lose Serge Ibaka. They lost a lot of big pieces. And today I want to talk about the San Antonio Spurs, a team that has been heavily going towards the rebuild. If you look at their roster, they have very little players with actual NBA experience. Keita Bates-Diop, at 26 years old, is a guy that's older, but he doesn't even have much experience on the court. Then we've got Devontae Cooks, 25 years old, but he doesn't have a lot of experience. Keldon Johnson is 22, and I made a video where I talked about him a while back, so I'm not going to go as in-depth into him as I probably should in this video, as I would if I hadn't made that video, but go ahead and check that out. It's in this top right corner right here. It's about the players that I think have the best chance to break out this year. But if we're going to go by strict NBA experience, the two guys that are most experienced on this team is Doug McDermott, a guy who's either likely going to get balled out, traded, or just have a very little amount of playing time in San Antonio, and Josh Richardson. Both are around 28 to 30 in that range, are two guys that probably, if you look at it correctly, have the most experience on this roster. The Spurs are an extremely young team. They have a lot of players who are right around 20 to 23 years old. Some guys a little older, 24, 25, and they still have very little actual real minutes in the NBA. And this team is probably going to be, if not the worst, one of the worst teams in the NBA this season. And I'm going to talk about today whether or not that tank is going to be worth it for San Antonio. We've never quite seen them be this bad. If you guys go back years and years ago, maybe you find a Spurs team that's bad, but for about 20 to 30 years, I would say, maybe not 30, maybe just 20, the Spurs have consistently been one of the best teams in the NBA. They've made it to the playoffs. They've made runs to the championship multiple times. I mean, we all remember those legendary Heat Spurs matchups, but now they're going to be a bad team. Last year they were bad, but Dejounte Murray was a bright spot. Somehow, or for whatever reason, they felt the need to ship Dejounte Murray out of San Antonio. They didn't get much in return, in my opinion. They probably could have got a lot more than they really did, and I think Dejounte has a lot more value than what the Spurs traded him for, which is why it's a little tough to see him go. And Atlanta's likely going to be a good team this year because of that acquisition, and they were able to keep John Collins, a guy who was included in pretty much all trade rumors. So the Spurs didn't even get the guy back that a lot of people said they were going to get. So now their roster, they don't have a star player. Keldon Johnson looks to be the best guy on the roster, at least offensively. You could argue that Jakob Poeltl is better just to his defensive presence and his rebounding, but other than that, they're full of a lot of very unproven talent. Keita Bates-Diop's a guy I mentioned. Zach Collins is a guy that I feel like we haven't seen him play basketball in 4 or 5 years, but he was good, or at least a little bit above average with Portland before that. I don't know how well he's going to do. Can we go ahead and look at his statistics? Because I don't even know if he played or if he's played at all. So last season he did play the 2021-2022 season. Can I find how many games he played? So we ended up playing 28 games, averaging about 8 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. I want to see how many games he's played, though. So in 2019, he played 11 games after his first 2 seasons playing over 60 both seasons. Okay, that's a good start for him, but then 2019, he gets hurt playing 11 games. Last year, he only ended up playing 28 games. So in the last 2 seasons, he's only played 39 NBA games, and he hasn't looked very good in any of them. So Zach Collins is a guy that, yeah, maybe he can get better. Maybe he can get back to where he was at before he got injured, but I just don't know if he's going to be able to help you out or help you win games, because at the end of the day, he's only Zach Collins. Trey Jones, one of the Jones brothers, another guy that is very interesting at that point guard position. A guy out of Duke. He hasn't had much playing time. We don't know what we're going to get. Romeo Langford, a shorter point guard, shooting guard is what the ESPN site has him listed as. And I mean, we don't know what we're going to get from him. Doug McDermott's a guy I talked about earlier. You know what you're getting from him. 3-point shooting and maybe a little bit of defense. Joshua Primo, we'll talk about him at the end. Josh Richardson, though, Defense and three-point shooting, he is not a star player. Isaiah Roby, we don't know really too much. He's played with OKC the last few seasons. He's been okay. Then you get to DJ Stewart and Blake Wesley, Joe Wieskamp, Robert Woodard, a few guys that we really don't know what to expect. After that, though, you do have Devin Vassell, a guy that's improved a lot the last few years. Jeremy Sochan, we obviously didn't get to see any of him in the Summer League, unfortunately, due to an injury, and I don't know really what to expect from him. I don't know how I feel about the pick. There's a lot of mysterious things going around the Spurs team. I think Jeremy Sochan can be a good NBA player, but will he be that star that the Spurs expect him to be? We'll just have to wait and see on that. I do want to talk about Joshua Primo. He is a guy that's been talked about a lot as maybe one of the worst picks in last year's drafts. Not as far as being a bad player, but as far as the value they got out of him. Obviously, last year he did get some playing time because they were a bad rebuilding team, but he didn't look all that good. And just at 6'5", 190 pounds for a shooting guard and a guy that can't shoot very well. I mean, obviously, shooting guards that can't shoot have succeeded in the past, and he can shoot at least a little bit below average of a level, so maybe he can develop it to be average or above average. But I'm a guy that's rooting for Joshua Primo. I like the selection. I've been an Alabama basketball follower since Colin Sexton and all them. I think that team has put out some great talent. A lot of them don't make it to the NBA, but Joshua Primo has a chance to make it, and I hope he does. But at the end of the day, this season might not matter. If we look at it, we all know who this team is tanking for. Victor Wembanyama, the center, 7-foot, 18-year-old from France. He is just an outstanding prospect. He looks like he's going to be one of the greatest draft prospects we've seen in a long time. Even Fox Sports says he has the agility and defense of Rudy Gobert and Kevin Durant combined. Dude is an offensive weapon, and I was skeptical of Chet Holmgren. Obviously, he has played very well in the Summer League, so maybe he's already proved me wrong. The 18-year-old is what Fox Sports says might be the best draft prospect since Luka or even Anthony Davis. This guy is very hyped up, and there's a big chance, even if you're the worst team in the league, you don't get the #1 overall pick. They only have a 14% chance now, and I'm not sure the Spurs are going to be able to just bet on that and exactly be terrible the entire season and just hope that they get the first overall pick, because there is a major drop-off from first to second. Scoot Henderson is their second-ranked guy in the draft, and yes, he's good, but I think every team that's bad this year is looking to get Victor Wembanyama, and I don't know if he is even worth the draft prospect or even worth the hype that he's getting, because we've seen so many of these tall guys come into the league. They don't do well across their career, whether due to they weren't able to bulk up, they stayed skinny, they didn't get tall. We see like Thon Maker, a guy that never built in or never filled in his body, and he just fizzled out of the NBA. Victor Wembanyama has a chance to do that. Obviously, once you get into the NBA, the training and the staff is a lot different, but at the same time, a guy of his height that moves like he does, how many times have we seen super tall athletes get retire extremely early because their knees can't handle it, their back can't handle it, their ankles can't handle it? Yao Ming, just Manute Bol was a guy that was 7'7", and he was so injury prone and he's just so tall and skinny that he didn't have a productive or long NBA career. It very rarely happens when a tall guy like this who tries to move like Wembanyama does is actually able to have a long, successful career. And that's not to say that I hate him as a prospect. Obviously, out of this draft, if you have the #1 overall pick, you pretty much have to take him. He is the best prospect in the draft, and if he can stay healthy, the tank is completely worth it for the Spurs. But at the end of the day, I don't think the trade for trading Dejounte Murray and just hoping to get Victor Wembanyama was the right move. Maybe you keep Dejounte Murray and try to be bad with him. I mean, we've seen the Thunder do it with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Josh Giddey, not playing him and not playing either of them and trying to lose games, with Lou Dort as well to another degree or to a lesser extent, but still, you know what I mean. This is an interesting do-or-die season for the Spurs. I know a lot of fans are going to stick with them. The Spurs have some of the most loyal fans in the NBA, and I don't know how they're going to handle this rebuilding season, but they have had losing seasons the past few years, so maybe they'll be fine with it or understand where the team is at, or at least where it's at now, or this season for one. And if they get Victor Wembanyama, they're probably all going to be completely happy. I don't know how happy I would be, just depending on how his legs do in the NBA. We've seen it so many times that legs just give out of guys that are just tall, especially at 18 years old. He still doesn't have any of the injury history that a lot of guys would have if they went to college or other things like that. So that's about where I'm feeling on the Spurs right now as I stumble my words. I don't know if the rebuild's going to be worth it. They're obviously tanking. They're one of the worst teams roster-wise in the NBA, and I doubt we're going to be shocked by a playoff run from them or even a play-in appearance. So it's pretty much first round or first overall pick or bust for the Spurs. If you get second, obviously you get a chance at a good NBA player, but everybody wants Victor Wembanyama this year, and I'll probably release a video talking about him alone in the next few days. I will be on vacation, so we'll have a video scheduled to upload Monday, but I will be out of town until Wednesday, so stick with me while I'm out of town. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you do enjoy these commentary videos or any of my NBA history videos, check out the playlist that'll be in this right corner right here. As always, if you did like this video, hit the like button and subscribe. Make sure to check out all my other content. Turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. Talk to you guys next time. Peace.